being a desperate job seeker is so dangerous for you and everybody else involved. So let's clear a few facts first because I got some comments just like this up here that said you should put whatever you want on your resume and just reflects on the company. This is absolutely wrong, absolutely not true. So let's go over the facts first. So, why do I think that desperate job seekers it's so dangerous for everybody involved? Well, let's look at the problem first. So to become a desperate job seekers, you probably need to have credit card debt. And here I got the this is where it all starts. And this is the states that I've listed and the average credit card debt per person. And you can go find this online. There's no secret. You just type that in and it's accessible to everybody. So Alaska's number one with 7,800 and Washington D.C. 7,500, Maryland 7,000, and then Hawaii, and then my lovely state with almost 7,000. The lowest credit card that is Indiana, West Virginia, Kentucky, Iowa, and Wisconsin, all in the $5,000 range. So that's about $7,000 on average, right? And now we're gonna see why is this so dangerous? Why is this all so dangerous? Because it's not only that you and I do it, it's that businesses do it too. Many small businesses rely on credit card debt as a source of capital. And I know that when you're unemployed, you also, and I would also use credit card debt as a way of capital. And I'm not shaming credit card companies, I'm not shaming you that you're going to do it. You need to do whatever it takes to keep your family fed and keep the lights on your roof, to keep the lights on in your house, right? Everything else, don't listen to, and they don't know what they're going through. And it's always crazy to hear these people talk online and say, you should do this, you should do that. They've never been in a spot like that. They have a conglomerate of real estate. And then they're like, you should do this and you should do that, who's never really been there. So now we're going to look at, okay, we have about $7,000 in credit card debt. Well, if you are going to pay that, this needs to be after taxes because you can't write the credit card debt off if you are an individual. So we're going to look at the average again, and the average annual salary per person is about $58,000, and the monthly pay is $4,865. That is when you're working. If you're unemployed, you make about $500 a week, so half of that. So now let's look at how long does it take for you to actually max out your credit card. So on average, people have a credit line of almost $30,000. What's a credit line is when you go to the bank and you say, I want a credit card, they approve you for a certain amount. And a lot of people don't understand that just getting an approval doesn't mean that they actually have the money or that they have the means to an end to actually pay it back. So I have an American Express Platinum card, and you can actually check your funding power, and you can ask it how much you can spend on that credit card. And they give you partial approval, they give you they give you full approval. And this is what they would approve me. No way do I have that in the bank, but that's how much they would approve me for, right? And this is just one card that I have. So kind of dangerous because I don't know how I would pay that back. But hey, 29% annual interest, I guess they take the risk on that one. So now we're going to look at why this is so dangerous, right? So if you're a job seeker and we're set up all the perimeters for this, right? And now it's gonna start snowballing. So if you're still looking, and there's the picture of the desperate job seekers because there's a lot of people like that, debt accumulates quickly. So you just need a few months of not having a job. You're actually going to start really racking up the debt. It's going to go really quick. And especially now with higher interest rate environment, it just starts getting brutal. So when you're on a job hunt, it's easy to lean on credit card for essentials, but that debt can pile up fast. And if you have $7,000 and you make a minimum 2 or 3% payment, it might take you years to pay that off. And then this is where a lot of people don't get that, you're robbing from your future. So if you're going to take that credit card debt and put it on that card, you're going to take away from your funding power from the future. So credit card companies love that, but what they're doing is basically they're taking profits now that and then later on, because later on you're going to have to pay that back, right? Interest cost far exceeds original debt. That's a huge problem. When you have 29% interest on these credit cards, you are actually wrapping it up faster than you're paying it off if you're only making minimum payments. And then all of a sudden, the annual APR is huge. So, credit card stress can affect job performance. That stress affects your mental health, which can impact how you perform in the job interviews and how you negotiate offers. Highlighting how job seekers under financial stress. So, it's basically highlighting the stress that people are going through just to survive. And the minimum payment is a huge trap for all these people, right? When you said, hey, you just do minimum payments, don't worry about it, just make minimum payments. They say that, but it just keeps accumulating and you're then enslaved to them for a very, very long time. And then this is another illusion that we got to debunk, is that some people think of credit cards as good that because they're easy to access, but high interest is not good. And then there's always these people in the social media around that say relying on credit can increase your credit score and you can get that credit score that you want so you can lend even more. And I think credit score, unless you want to take out a loan or buy a house, you don't really need it because you're not going to go finance and trying to do things. And yeah, you should monitor it, but is it like a relying factor? I think there's way more to credit scores than just you and the number. And long-term stress on you to do that with credit card is also crucial because you're longer in debt, the more you're paying forward. Interest, instead, try to build up your savings and then invest it. So these are all crazy things that you gotta look at when thinking about unemployment and taking out debt. But what the main underlying problem is that when you're desperate and you have all these stuff going on, and I just rattled off a few of them. When you're desperate, let's say, for instance, you're at a car dealership and you desperately want it, what do you think is going to happen? And if you're desperate wanting something, what do you think the salesperson's going to do? And they're not going to give you a huge discount, are they? Because why would they? If you're sitting in my car dealership and I have no idea what it takes to be a car dealer, but if somebody walked in and desperately wanted my car, could be a Mazda, could be a Cybertruck, could be a Kia, and if somebody desperately wants it, what do? You charge him a bunch of extras and you just do that. And now you're going to say, oh, that's bad practice. Hey, that is how the name of the world of business goes. If somebody wants to have something installed today, they're going to pay extra. If they don't want to be on the schedule and you need to have it done right now, right this minute, costs extra because you're impatient and you didn't plan. So it costs extra. And now let's look at when you're desperate at the job hunt. What does that mean? Well, once you're desperate at the job hunt, they can do what they want with you because not even AI. I've asked AI if it would, or they, she, they, them, whatever, what AI would do, and they said it is the worst thing to be in is when you're desperate. So back to my original comment where put everything on your resume. No, you want to walk in there with a poker face. And for those of you that don't know what a poker face is, I'm going to tell you right now. Just say I got other opportunities and I'm interviewing other places. Even if that's not the case, so then they're already going to lowball you. You know that. But at least you're not showing weakness. Because when you're in the wild and you show weakness, they'll prey upon you. And now you're going to say in my comment section, oh my gosh, you can't say stuff like that. You just can't say that. It's just how the world works. If there's, it's like a supply and demand type of deal, right? When there's a bunch of demand out and you're the only one supplying it, you say what you want. If you're an AI developer and you can program the craziest AI model, you can walk into any institution today and get a job. And if you are not in demand, and then everybody's an AI developer, then you're gonna have issues because everybody can do it, and then you gotta retrain, reskill, and do other things. And so that's what it is all about. You gotta know your spot in the workplace. And if you do not know, you really gotta figure it out, because not everybody can charge 6, 7 figures for their employment for tech jobs. And as you've seen, there's a lot of people that got laid off in the tech sector. So you gotta be really, really smart about it. And now you're like, well, I'm still gonna put the desperate thing on LinkedIn and start becoming a desperate job seeker because I need that job. So once you start, what I'd be worried if I hired somebody that was desperate is, are they gonna cut corners just so they don't lose their job again? And it is almost like dating the desperate person. If you ever done that, and I've been there, where I was the desperate one and I dated other desperate people, then you're always going to be like, God, they're so needy, they're so clingy, you don't know what they're going to do just to kind of stay along. And it never really worked out, because when you're so desperate, you might cut corners, you might get burnt out, you might do other things that are compromising your job because you're so willingness to do it. And I know this is a huge controversial topic because people say, but we need jobs. Yeah, I know you do, but you got to hold your cards close to your chest and go in there and say, I'm the best for the job and I will do a really good job. And you walk in not like that, like, I need this job, I need this job, I'm gonna, if I can't get this job, I'm gonna lose it. So you're gonna tell whatever you want. And if you go in an interview like that, people that have interviews all the time, and I'm curious to hear if you're a recruiter, they can smell that. And it is like when you're swimming with sharks and you're a chicken bleeding, because they can smell that. How long do you think that chicken's gonna last trying to stay afloat when all these sharks around them? They're gonna know that. And if you're the best one for the job, they're just gonna write you a very low ball offer. And guess what? You're a desperate job seeker, so you gotta take it. And then you're like, well, I gotta renegotiate later. No, you already set the precedent. So why would they ever renegotiate? They're gonna work you overtime, they're gonna give you more job. So you then basically shot yourself in the foot and in the hip because you just gave it all up. And that is why you gotta be so smart when you job search, so you can do it logically. And I know you got to send out hundreds of applications, but you just got to be doing the right thing at the right time and not give up all your cards and fold and be like, I'm done, I need this job, whatever it is. Because it's just that you got to set the precedent and you got to figure out what they want that you have that would fit in perfectly. But now there's 5, 6, 700 of you guys applying for one job. And somebody just said, well, before they got 200 applications in a week, now it's in 45 minutes. Yeah, might be. So you got to up it. You got to send project portfolios. You got to do the right stuff and send the right amount of information over so they want to interview you. And it's not like 2019, because I'm hearing that a lot. And I remember those days where anybody that wanted a job could get one. And now nobody can get a job even if you want one. So it's completely the opposite of what it was before. And yeah, it is absolutely crazy to see all this stuff in the news. And one thing I do want to add, though, that I just remembered is I saw a campaign ad for Donald Trump that said he's got to limit credit card at 10%. And I don't know if that's true and if he can even do that, but that would help out gazillions of Americans. And that would actually really, really make it so that Americans that do have 29% interest on credit cards would actually really, really help. And I don't know if he's going to do that, because I think these lobbyists have too much money and are too much in all of the politicians' pockets. But I did saw that, and I think that was a really, really cool thing that they should do. Regardless of who's in office, they should limit the percentage on credit card interest charged to a decent amount. Not 29%. They should charge anywhere between 20 and 16% and just cap it at that and come out with some law and say, because Switzerland does have a law that says you cannot charge more than what's right here on the screen, because everything else is just legal robbery. If you're charging 29% interest on credit cards, it's just a disaster waiting to happen. And all these things that I'm talking to you guys about, I will be right. It's just a matter of how long. So when I'm talking about all these things, it's just a matter if it's right in a month, in 6 months, in 2 years, because unless there's a phenomenon where Americans are really going to wake up and change their whole credit system and they're going to be like, hey, credit cards really didn't do me this, really didn't treat me nicely, so we're going to stop using them, or we're going to stop putting ongoing expenses on them and living within their means. And I know this is like the word that Americans hate, living within their means. And man, I'd love to live above my means too, but that's why I only drive a Ford and a Polestar. Love to get one of these new fancy Raptors or something else, but nah, just driving my 2019 car and my little electric one, because money's tight and I don't want to take out a huge loan and do all these crazy things just to have it. And if you do, that's fine. But I just try to retire at one point, and I'm not saying you can't, but I'm just like, save money, live better. And if you watched so far, please like and subscribe. Let me know what you think about all this desperate job seekers. And yeah, I'm like, man, don't do it. It's like dating. Don't be the desperate one. Always try to be cool, and try to play it cool, so you can get that job. And let me know if you do get it. And if you want to send me an article, it's in the about section of my profile. And it is hot today in Las Vegas, but man, it is hot. So I will see you in the next one.